Do you guys have what the pho or like get the pho out of here? Or
Not
anything like that?
is that a chain or
No,
did
there's
you
like
make that up?
all
Dude,
the pho
hey
restaurants.
everybody, by the way, don't
Oh,
don't mind our conversation.
I'm
We're
just
talking about pho restaurants.
I mean, that's okay, man. It's real
You
estate related, right? Commercial real estate. There you
sure,
go.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta buy a building in order to put the restaurant. So you should
Exactly.
go those names, you should go trademark those immediately after the show.
Yeah,
And
seriously. No,
we could be a
all the
restaurateur.
yeah, all the all the kind of what you would call it, the um I'm trying to say all the like mom and pop shops, they have like these quirky little names um for restaurants, and it was like a I don't know, they just kept doing it for the longest time, but they're actually all really good.
Yeah.
My my nephew is Vietnamese, so I get a lot of that. I get a lot of good Vietnamese food, man. Like those garlic chicken wings you're talking about, the spicy
Yeah.
ones. Um, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. It's
Man, it was
it's
amazing.
good.
They were amazing. And so we were talking about Ferd's going to San Diego. I asked him if
Mhm,
he had ever been to OB Noodle House, which is Ocean Beach Noodle House.
mhm.
Um, and he had not, but I've been to San Diego and I went a couple of times. And it was on diners, drive-ins, and dives too. That's
Oh,
one of
okay.
the ways I heard about it. But some of the guys who lived there and they recommended that place. There's also this like crazy burger place called Hodad's,
Mhm.
and it's on Ocean Beach also. But yeah, I love to travel and like try new places like that.
Yeah, I you know, the Filipino food always people always ask me like, "What's a good Filipino spot?" And I always say home because Filipinos are lazy and they don't like to open restaurants. But man, San Diego, Paul in the 619, he knows some. They got really good Filipino food in San Diego. Like it's the closest I've ever tasted in America. Like the Philippines, very
Right.
authentic. There's a pretty big Filipino subset over there anyway, but yeah, enough about food. I guess I'm hungry, but yeah, man. You
Yeah,
know,
it'll be a quick show now because we're starving because
e-
we've been
e-
talking about food the whole time.
exactly. Um, you know, apologies. I think this is on. I guess me. I've canceled on you a few times. It's just been really busy, and um, you know, but I think I still want to do this show as much as we can, at least every 2 weeks, if not more. It's been really enjoyable for me. I've been kind of a stressful beginning of the year. But before I kind of go into that, how's your year been? I know you've been slammed, which is great.
Well, you can take credit for a couple of the cancellations, and I can take credit for the remainder. I think because
Yeah.
yeah, we just had it's I think so in any I think one of the things we try to do is make this talk it's investing and talking about stocks and talking about real estate, but a lot of the things that we talk about I think it's stuff you can implement in other areas of business. So if you're in sales, a lot of the things I talk about regarding real estate can you can apply some of those methods to whatever you're I'm just selling a product just like
Right.
anybody else is. So I think so I say that to say I started off the year pretty strong, and it was because of the efforts the previous year to like get to like get things rolling.
Hmm.
So I just kind of doubled down, and I didn't want to have I don't know about you, but my years are typically they kind of ramp up, and we kind of where our target is really kind of spring a lot of times for us is
Sure.
when it traditionally gets busy, and that still happens. But like right out of the gate, I've had three closings so far. I've got two in March. I talked to a guy today about a listing appointment. I've got a listing that somebody they put in an offer. It's kind of a low ball. My folks decided not to counter, so they called me back about a week later and said, "Hey, you think your folks might reconsider countering?" So
Hmm.
we did, and I suggested a price that I thought was
Fair.
a good counter, and knowing full well that they'll counter low. I thought it was going to take a couple of moves to get where we were going to go, and they accepted our counter. So I've got to go tomorrow at some point and get the paperwork signed. But that one's like over 650. So
Wow.
that's a good
Congrats,
one.
man.
Yeah.
That's great.
So and then they're going to buy a house. So you start looking at the total. The house they're buying it's a little less than, it'll be close to, I mean, it's close to like 900,000 or a million just on those two deals.
Yeah.
So that's just all this stuff a lot of irons in the fire.
Mhm.
And but I just had another closing yesterday. It was supposed to close in December. We had a lot of hurdles.
Yeah.
It would be a good thing to share with you off screen. I don't want to bore our folks with it, but you would probably, because a lot of it was there were some issues with the lender, so you would maybe find it interesting. But I
Sure
won't
would.
bore our guests with the details. But
You might
just
you might stress them out and be like, "I don't ever wanna buy a house. I don't
yeah,
wanna
I
deal with
know.
that,"
Yeah,
right?
let's not. It's there, and they're not all like as difficult as this particular one was, but
Sure.
just a lot of moving parts and stuff like that. But the satisfaction in what I do, and I'm sure you would probably agree with this, is it's overcoming those hurdles to still get to the closing table. It's not, because I kept telling my folks. I mean, they were ready to give up, and I said, "Look, hang in there. I still feel really positive about us being able to get to the finish line." And just hang in there. And I said, it's a nightmare right now what we're dealing with, but this will just be a good story. If we can get to the closing table, it's just a good story.
Sure.
So I think it kind of makes you look good. That it's a story I want them to tell a lot, because hey, we maybe wouldn't have gotten there if Brad had not been so persistent and been such a problem solver to get things done. So that's some of that stuff. They haven't been easy right out of the gate, but I think this feels like it's going to be a busy year.
That's great, man. I mean, you know, it's funny when you canceled on me a couple of times, I actually was like, I was about to cancel on you.
Relieved.
Or really,
I
and like
just beat you to the punch.
you did, and it's because I forgot about like texting you or just like things come up, but our jobs are different, right? But like we have kind of the same cycle of you talk to a client like in March or February, whatever date, and then you don't talk to them for like 6 months, and either they go away or they're like, oh shoot, I found a house. What's been happening to me lately is I'm having old clients come back from 2 years ago. And so the whole game in mortgage is like you gotta have like your 50 like main clients, and then you just kind of feed off those guys and either
Keep
refinance
doing a
them.
good job. They
Yeah,
refer,
they
and heck
refer.
yeah, man. I was just telling somebody that today. That's
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do this if I couldn't do it. Commander Cody, what's up, buddy?
What's up,
Good to see
Cody?
you.
Good to see you, man.
I don't know if I would do it if I were just responsible for trying to get cold leads to decide. And I don't know if
Mhm.
they really are, how serious they are. Most of my business is past clients and referrals.
Yeah.
And that's very rewarding, you
Sure.
know.
And I think, there's, you know, and nowadays with technology and whatnot, I mean, you really have to hit it out of the park with your experiences that you give to other people. I had a situation where I had a guy locked in. He was a first time home buyer class attendee of mine. And unfortunately, he shopped me and he went with another lender, and it was disheartening. I mean, for sure. I locked him in. We were on day 3. I was about to get the appraisal, that kind of thing. Um, I can't hate him. I can't hate on the situation too much. I can learn from it, right? And I think what I learned was like, um, there's that one person that's they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. But he was like, I'm really sorry. I just had to do this. Oh, what's going on, Ella? Good to see you in the stream. Learning some finance stuff. Ella works with my beautiful wife, who is
Cool. Hey,
either
Ella,
she's
welcome.
she's either on the light rail as we speak, watching, or not watching, but has it in the background. So either way, it's good to see Ella in the stream. Ella, if you
Ella,
could hit that
Ella,
like button, that'd be cool.
If you're wondering why I have what my accent is, I'm from South Washington. So it's a Southern Washington
Southern
accent.
Washington.
So
Very, very
um,
South Washington, like the
yeah, it's
deepest of
very
parts.
the
Yeah,
deep
the deep
south of
South of
Washington.
Washington. Um, but I said like, hey, no hard feelings. I totally get it. And he called me and we had a good talk. And he's like, I really want to like make this right. Um, I'll refinance with you later down the road. So I sent him like a couple like, welcome home. It was like $14, put my card in there, like, hey, I appreciate you thinking of me at least. And like he gave me a chance to get it. Um, on the other hand, it was kind of weird. I wasn't really like stoked about it, but it is what it is. But yeah, lately it's just, hey, what's up, Renee? Thanks for coming through. Hopefully you learned
Oh, hey,
something
man.
from my finance part of my world today, Renee. But
Yes, this man does it all. Old
I
Ferg
try.
does it all.
I try, man. We've been streaming a lot lately, so this is cool to kind of get back to our roots and stuff.
I know, yeah.
There's been some surprises at work. My company, I won't name names, but did get acquired. It's going to close third quarter. I'm just going to keep grinding, man. That's all I can do. It was a little bit nerve wracking on the second week of January. Um, hearing like seeing an email that says like, "Don't panic," and it's from your boss. Open it
Yeah.
up and there's an email from the CEO, and he's like, blah blah blah, we got acquired and yada yada. And then I get the phone calls from ex-employees like, like, what happened, blah blah blah, tell me that. And at first it was like, what's going to happen here? The good news is the bank that acquired us, they lend in different states. One state is South Carolina. So I think it just opens more avenues and opportunities for us to keep doing the show. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a loan in Iowa for Commander Cody or one of his friends.
There you
I mean, I
go.
don't know. But Renee, maybe one day we will speak of real estate and opening up a collectible store. Um, who knows, man? That'd be kind of crazy. Oh shoot. Okay, cool. Come knock on the door. Just kidding. And Cody's ready, man. It would be, it would be great to, at least help out some of your clients and all that, if possible. But yeah, I think of it as an opportunity to kind of get more clients out there and work with people that I actually know and enjoy. I know we got a couple Oklahoma boys over in Oklahoma, so it'd be cool to work with them. But if not, like, it's all good. What Brad, what you're kind of saying about like the job, and we'll get into the slides because we want to do that. Yeah, this job is like challenging sometimes, but it's also very not only monetarily rewarding, but I've never had a job, whether it's like one loan or 8 loans in a month, that I felt like really good about them and having like being able to meet the goal of the client. And I think it sounds corny, but it's very rewarding, and it kind of keeps you hungry, right? That's hard to do, I think, in our jobs. It can be frustrating, man. I mean, my 2023 income was like, I want to say like half or maybe even a little bit less than what I made in 2021. Um, but you just kind of adjust and you just got to survive and keep nimble and hopefully you just think of different things to kind of keep alive and all that. And so without further ado, let's get into our slides. Again, I want to thank all 6 rolling through on the Sunset to South show. I've been looking forward to doing this show for quite some time. I do this
Our
show
first of 2024. So
our
this is
first of
we have
2024.
really it's gone by because Friday's March 1st. So
It's
we've
crazy. Yeah.
it's been busy. It's been busy for us, but we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah. And I think like what's also pretty cool about my job is like I do these first time home buyer classes. I get face fronted to, a lot of clients, and a lot of them come to me and they're like, man, before the class, I didn't think I could afford a home or it'd be even feasible, especially with just things you see on TikTok and yada yada and all that stuff. But when you actually take like some time to really listen to people that kind of know what it takes, and you just kind of have that, okay, it's going to take some work, but I can do this, or I kind of know my limits. I think that's more important thing. Um, yeah, I think that's what kind of my goal for the show was. I don't try and talk about rates too much on the show. It's more just like putting more money in your pocket or just things to think about. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the show going forward, and we're going to try and do this more often. So without further ado, Topics we're going to cover today is 2024 stocks I bought, actually from my lovely wife. A little bit West Coast real estate, like we always get into, West to East Coast real estate. Your credit tip of the day. Hold on one second. Oh, that's funny. And then I just put Brad's 2024 real estate strategies, but
we didn't discuss
we
what
didn't really
I was
discuss,
going to do, but
but I just assumed. So
yeah.
hopefully that works.
Well, yeah, I've got one newsworthy note slide to share that we'll talk about, and then I think I did. It was more about like whether so it actually is whether you're going to you plan on selling your home or you're planning on staying for a while. These are really three very effective or uh, these are three, I guess, updates that you can do to like maximize value for your home. So
Cool.
we've had a lot of fun doing those. So I've been we haven't been doing our show, but I've been collecting content. So I'm just like I've got a Sunset to South folder in my email, and I just start storing
Putting stuff
stuff
in
there
there.
for like future shows and stuff. So
I love it, man. I mean, I should start doing stuff like that. Just like I have like a little iPad and I can write down notes and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, that's not current anymore. I can't talk about that this week. Um, so I just figured the one thing that I did with my wife was like, you gotta contribute to your Roth IRA. And we'll talk about kind of that a little bit later. But she was like, okay, fine, just leave me alone, right? So she finally did it. She did contributions for 2023 and 2024 this year. If you didn't know you could do that, Google it. Make sure you're in the right tax bracket. You can still contribute for 2023 up until I believe it's the due date for taxes this year, depending on your tax bracket and all that. Just look it up. But yeah, so I did deposit for 2023 and for this year. So she's all good for the past 2 years. So the stocks I kind of just started with her account. There's three. She actually has five, but they're other two are very small positions. But I went pretty heavy on these other three stocks. The first one is Zebra. I actually learned about this stock during the pandemic a little bit when I was working at Target part time. Have you ever heard of this stock at all per the description? I don't know if you can read
I
or not, but
I have not. I was just reading that. So is it scanner like checkout
so it's
or
basically like it's sometimes you see these. Okay, you see these a lot when you're doing order pickups at like Nordstrom or at Target. It's basically like it looks like a phone, but there's a little trigger. And like let's say you go to do order pickup somewhere, right? And there's a little barcode on your phone. Well, the associate will click the little icon and then be like, oh, Brad's loaf of bread that he order picked up. I'll go grab it. Go grab it. You click sign. It's checked off. At that moment, the inventory for the stores is cleared or updated. The person who bought it, Brad, white male, age is 35 to 90 to that range, whatever. So all that data is collected at the time that you check out on this little basically like Palm Pilot, if you will. I didn't necessarily think of it at the time because we stopped using them because of germs and all that. But the efficiency and the speed that these little Zebra, kind of modules had, it like doubled productivity, if not quadrupled it, because you don't have to have an inventory guy anymore. It's the B2C commerce is like extremely fast. It's extremely easy to use. And guess what? We had about 50 of them at one store. And it wasn't a big store. It's fairly big, but it wasn't a huge store. So these guys cost like $1,000 a piece.
Hmm.
And I mean, we go through them because people drop them or like, they lose them or what have you. But the reason I invested in them is because this AI evolution. So evidently Zebra has implemented a lot of AI into their software. And they're using AI to get that data from the products that they sell. And it's not just Target. Target has these. I think Costco has them. Any major retailer, Nordstrom has them, that has some type of inventory system, has this product. It's like the creme de la creme of all of them. But that's why I think there's some growth. It's around 270 a share. Earnings were really good. the AI boom is a little crazy. There's a couple stocks that have gone up like 4,000% the past like year, and they really don't have like a foundation in my eyes. The companies, I think, if you're going to invest in AI, other than Nvidia or any of the chip makers, you want to get into companies that have really used AI to grow their business or to satisfy their customers to grow their business. If that makes sense. Zebra's been around since the 1960s.
Hmm.
So it's a
Okay.
very well-established company. They have like the Apple of inventory handheld devices. And if this AI thing doesn't work out or doesn't grow as fast, they still have a really good customer base. So that was kind of like my thought process with that. Yeah, man.
So the
What do you think? Is that kind of weird, or like it's an example of like, being aware of like the stuff, your environment around you. That's how I
right.
got the idea. I was working a part-time job at freaking Target, and that's how I got the idea for it. So
So the AI is on the back end
yeah,
sorting, is that sort the data. So
yeah,
that's that's I think anybody watching will probably be as surprised as I was to hear the type and amount of data they collect on just, you know, purchasing a loaf of bread or whatever.
right.
That tells, but the more competitive it gets, the more these retail stores want that information so they can get, its efficiency and getting the right products in the hands of the people who are buying them, and what do we need to stock. And it tells them a lot. It's a lot of data for them to um, to help it advance their business.
Yeah,
That's a cool one, man. I like that.
yeah. And
And it's
again,
like
like
an indirectly, um, I guess, with a little AI influence
yeah, a little
on the.
sprinkle of AI in there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if it, if I mean, they're already the leader in this data. So I mean, ultimately, I don't know if they can. I don't know if it's proprietary or not, but like, you could sell the data if you can organize it. That's kind of what Palantir does. I've talked about Palantir. I mean, they're the best as far as like sorting info. But you know, if they can say, look, you need to stock up more on Magic the Gathering cards and not Pokemon because you have this age group coming in and not this age group. Um, I think it's invaluable information for companies to, because inventory is always an issue with retail. That's why it's hard to invest in retail in general. I say that, and my next stock I pick is VFC. VFC Corp is a conglomerate. The major brand that you probably all know of that they own is North Face. Um, I've always thought that these clothing company conglomerates that own like pieces of different clothing companies are always a pretty good bet. They just had an activist stake in the company, and so what that means, if you guys don't know, in the chat here, an activist stake is like when you have a big investor, like a car icon, or um, who's the other guy that was part of MGM? Basically, a big whale that says, "I'm going to take 5% of this company. I want a board seat, and I want you guys to figure your stuff out, and I'm going to help you." That's an activist investor. Not only do they own part of the company, they want to be active in the growth of the company. I forgot the name of the gentleman that has a pretty big stake in VFC, but there are some pretty big insider buys. This stock has ranged around 15 to 17. Um, I named the biggest brand that it owns, which is North Face. I would say, at least here in the Pacific Northwest, and again, this is just me shopping around, North Face was the busiest store at the mall that we went to a couple weeks ago. It's pretty small. They had a mini sale, but like really everyone was getting their damn Gore-Tex $350 jackets, and it's going to be springtime. So I thought that was just really odd. But I think there's kind of like it's kind of like a luxury kind of like take, I feel, because it's a bit stylish, right? And it's pretty good quality. And I noticed a lot of tech guys were buying these coats. And I don't know if we just hit them on the good day, but like they were selling a lot of these coats. And I feel like North Face has always been a pretty strong company anyway. So yeah, it's pretty, as far as price is concerned, I think it's a little undervalued at like 15 to $16 a share. It's trading around 16 and a quarter. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good move. It may not move as quickly as Zebra does, but that's not really what I wanted to do in a portfolio that has a Roth IRA in it. Brad, have you ever looked into these like retail type investment stocks or whatever?
No, but I think that's a really good move on your part. North Face, I mean, being in a college town, they're everywhere.
Hmm.
And you can only tell when you're walking behind someone, because
Hmm.
if you own North Face, the logo on a lot of their stuff is actually on the back of the whatever you're wearing. So, but it's quality. I mean, it's there, that particular brand is synonymous with, it's the top end of stuff, and people who buy their products are like 100% on board with them, and they believe in their product.
Yeah, I feel like it's like North Face was cool when like I was in high school, so it's stood the test of time, man. Especially at least around here. I don't know about other areas, but um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
still see it a good bit today here. I mean, not that we don't need to wear it for as long as you guys maybe, but it's I think it hit seven. You always laugh when I say this, but I think we hit 70, like 72 today. So it was it's not North Face weather. It feels like that's quickly changing.
what's funny is I actually saw some like nice mesh t-shirts or like that kind of the Under Armour like kind of material of North Face in the Philippines, but was worn by Koreans that were visiting the Philippines.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what made me think about it too. And I'm actually not shocked about this, man. You see a lot of it here
Yeah,
in
no
Iowa.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their
perfect.
tents are really expensive too. Like those, they make like these $2,000 tents that can withstand like icy, like cold wind, which I think is really cool too. And
There was
then
a
so
guy I
now
knew a guy who was like real big into hiking and everything. I mean,
everything North
everything
Face.
he had was North Face.
Yeah,
Everything.
it's
So
it's super popular, and I mean I have so many North Face stuff because it's a pretty good price, and like I've had this sweatshirt
is
for
our
like
show?
gosh,
I
a
was
really
going to
long
say, is
time.
our show sponsored by North Face? Is that what you're getting ready to tell?
I
You're
mean, might as
wearing.
well be. I mean, we could
Hey,
try.
North Face.
Where's my
Where's my pullover?
sponsorship? I mean, I mean, hit up Cody with one too, man. He's like he's sponsoring them off too. But yeah, and it never really goes on sale too often. But even if it does, I think their margins are really good. I'd have to look at their margin kind of reports, but I guess we'll see. And Disney was kind of the one I rounded off. And this was one where I was a little hesitant to buy because the earnings came out. However, there was improvements in subscriber base. And I know like in our comic book Discord or just our Discords in general or just amongst friends, like I don't have a Disney Plus account anymore. And I think just because one, I've really fallen in love with Hulu, which is actually owned by Disney, quote unquote. I've fallen more in love with Apple TV, and Netflix is just a pillar, right? But HBO has also got me kind of, and I do like I switch, man. I'll cancel one and I'll get another, but I just felt Disney was just it wasn't really like for me like lately. However, with the rest of America, I guess everyone's back on the Disney Plus train. Um, their last earnings report, they mentioned an increase in subscribers. Um, they also mentioned an increase in attendees of the parks. I didn't know if you saw this in the news today, but they're planning to increase the tickets prices worldwide. Um,
Wow.
I couldn't tell you how many, and again, this is another example of me being kind of aware of my surroundings. I was on Facebook the other month or something, and so as you can imagine, like Philippines isn't the richest country in the world. However, like they're very highly educated people. And I mean, you have to take certifications to be a freaking notary over there. So they're very highly educated. And I think with the onset of work from home and just clerical stuff that maybe AI will take over one day, um, a lot of my family that are younger have remote jobs and they work for Chinese companies, or they work for Singaporean countries, or they may work like some type of technical job or in the US, and they have money. Kind of the point I was trying to make is they go to Disney in Japan, they go to Disney in Hong Kong, and they post about it, and then their 50 friends like it, and then they end up going to travel to China or to Japan and go to Disney. I couldn't tell you how many, and I have a ton of relatives in the Philippines, right? So it's not just like one or four. It was like at least 20. And it kind of made me think, maybe it's not a bad idea to get a little bit, a nibble, if you will, into Disney, right? I didn't base this off any MCU spec or hopes that they're gonna you know make the MCU amazing.
Probably smart on your probably smart on your part. But
Yeah,
it's the bigger picture, it's just
yeah.
it's Disney stock and it's all encompassing.
Yeah, there's a lot. I kind of based off the subscribers, right, of the new, the ticket prices, because like, man, everything's expensive. How are you gonna get away with charging an extra $50 to people? Well, you do it because they're gonna pay it. Um, Bob Iger is back at the helm, and that was actually kind of my like, okay, I gotta get more stock in this for my wife, because Bob Iger, if you don't know who Bob Iger is, man, he's the dude, man. He's the guy that will make changes to increase the stock price. It's kind of like oh, it's kind of like your favorite sports guy, retired, or like, I guess you could kind of say he's kind of like the Tom Brady of CEOs. Like, he took some time off, was going to retire, and was like, you know what? I'll come back. I'll come back, and Willis Reed style at halftime in the NBA Finals, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
I was assuming they begged him to come back.
they probably did. They probably compensated him quite a bit, and I mean, he's a CEO legend, man. He's on a lot of boards and all that. But those are my three stocks that I invested in for my wife's Roth IRA. Um, there's a couple other stocks in there, but I wanted to touch on those guys. Brad, when's the last time you went to Disney World or Disneyland? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know why you always try to it always ends up you always make me look old. I don't think you're doing it on purpose, but
I didn't.
you did it on. We did a comic book stream recently, and it kind of came up, and then but I went when I was a kid,
Okay.
and they were the Epcot Center, the
Yeah.
big
Yeah. That's my
globe.
favorite place. I love that place.
They were building the globe.
Okay.
It was like a wire. It looked like a wire frame, and it just had it was only like halfway. The exterior metal part was only halfway done. So,
Oh man, that's hilarious.
that was the 70s. Yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty.
So here's a little bit of trivia about Disney World. So the whole purpose of Disney World was Roy Disney. He noticed that a lot, like 90% of his attendees to Disneyland were from the West Coast, and he wasn't getting tapping into any of the market on the East Coast. And so he slowly started to buy swampland in Orlando, and he was just buying parcels about parcels about parcels, and kind of quietly doing it over some time. And then when the Floridians found out what he was doing, they didn't want him to do it, but it was too late. He was pretty smart about it. And I mean, the Disney World campus is like 12 like square miles around, and it was really just all swampland. The biggest problem he had was essentially dredging everything and like getting all like the water. That's why there's so many ponds everywhere when you go to Disney World. I thought it was really cool. I mean, if you ever want to like deep dive about Disney World and the reasons and stuff, it's kind of cool. But
my nephew and his wife and their two kids are going this year. And I was scared to ask him what the bill was on that trip, but
yeah,
there and when we went, I mean, we stayed at Disney. There's some ways you can kind of cut some costs and stuff.
oh
And
yeah,
stay
yeah,
off campus, and they do shuttles to the park and stuff. But
sure.
we stayed there when I went back in black and white TV days. Uh, we stayed right there. We took the monorail everywhere. We did everything. We did all the rides. I rode Space Mountain. we did a luau one night, and I mean, I swear, you feel like you're not in Orlando, Florida. You're in obviously
Disney
you're in
World.
Hawaii doing
Yeah.
a luau, and it's the experience, and it's just that I'm excited for his kids to go because that that's it's just a life changing thing. Yes, yes. Yeah, they did. Disney did have indoor plumbing. Mom, all the outhouses are full. I can't get to the
Um,
the outhouses on the door. It didn't say men or women. It had an outline of Disney, and then or an outline of Mickey Mouse, and then an outline of Minnie Mouse on the. Yeah, that was it was fun though. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a a life changing trip, and one of those things that kids just
mhm.
it's like Christmas on steroids, like Christmas Eve, and you're leaving to go to Disney the next day, and just like the
Yeah.
excitement. How about
Well,
you? Have you been to Disneyland or Disney World?
I haven't been to Disneyland in a few years, but my wife and I, when we were secretly dating, because we didn't want our families to really know, it was during like COVID, I want to say, like either 2020 December or 2021. I can't remember the dates, but she was living in Reno, and so we met up I think I flew to Reno or vice versa. She flew to Seattle, and then we flew together down to Disney World. I have a friend that actually her husband works for Disney, so I got free tickets the whole weekend to all four parks. So we lucked out. What was I gonna say?
So a
The reason
secret rendezvous at Disneyland or
Disney World,
Disney
Disney World.
World,
We went to we
secret
went to Disney World.
rendezvous, so the family doesn't find out to Disney World.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And I mean, it was so obvious, like, well, where are you going during COVID or like,
Yeah, who are you
whatever.
going with? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. Why are you flying across the country? Like southeast, like you crazy, crazy kid. Oh, Cody, to answer your question, we met a long time ago through a family friend, like in 2006, and then my mom passed away, and she reached out to me, and that's kind of what happened. I like to say, like, if it wasn't for my mom passing away, I probably wouldn't have met the next Mrs. Espina, but it's just kind of funny, and it's sad, but it's kind of funny how that works out. But it is what it is, right? But yeah, so what was I gonna say? Oh, so the reason I asked when was the last time you went to Disney World is because I hate rides. My wife loves them. Um, but the Star Wars section, man, those guys were making money off
I don't even think the
dumb
Star
nerds
Wars
like
movie
us.
was out when I went to Disney World.
Oh
I don't think
jeez. Well,
I'll
they
have to
didn't have a
double.
Disney. They just built the Star Wars park like a couple
Wait,
years ago.
okay, yeah, all right,
What
yeah,
I'm
that would
saying
be
is
fun.
like
Now,
if you were
yeah,
to go
because I mean, I
now,
see.
like you would like. I think everyone in the stream, if we all went together, we'd be like the drunken like nerds with the lightsabers that we just made and fighting each other. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
cool,
I would.
man. It's cool.
Yeah, because you'll be walking around and like stormtroopers are walking around like you're on
Yeah,
set of the show and stuff. That'll be
yeah,
yeah. You'll have yeah. That's really neat. That'll
yeah.
be fun. I know my nephew is into all that stuff, so I know he'll spend a fair amount of time there.
I mean, it's really like it's a really good combination of a kid and like, of a family park, because we grew up with that, and I think even before Bob Iger came back to the company, Disney does a really good job at that. And the fact that they're, um, I guess pompous, you could say, enough to raise ticket prices, like, wow. I mean, I guess the market's the market, so.
I'm trying to remember a story. This is just talking about we a lot of times when we talk about these companies we talk about their customer service and what they do differently, and how are other companies, their competitors, not understanding how, like, they just shrug their shoulders and wonder how they're so successful. Like, how is
Mhm,
Chick-fil-A doing so, how are they doing so well? Well, there you've got the model right there. Go find out,
mhm,
recycle it. Um, and so somebody had told me this story about this family had gone to Disney, and it was this little girl, and her birthday was like it's something. This is the gist of the story, but it was like her birthday that weekend, so they were going to Disney for her birthday, and she met one of the they have the workers out to like help you direct you to where you want to go, and the girl said, well, it's my birthday and I want to meet like Cinderella or something. So that they said, well, I'm sure you'll be able to see her this weekend. And so that worker goes and tells the person that's playing Cinderella that this little girl, her name's Sarah or whatever, and it's her birthday this weekend, and she's really looking forward to meeting you. So they have this. Cinderella goes and finds her and is like, hey, you must be Sarah. Like, I hear it's your birthday. Like, the initiating, and you talk about like going the extra mile to make what's already an unbelievable scenario and an unbelievable trip to like just go the extra mile. And that little girl would never be the same because just somebody that's taken the initiative to like really make a special moment even that much more special. And that's where like the customer service, man, it's hard to, it's why they can raise the ticket prices $50 and people will still pay it.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Yeah. I mean, like there's no brand out there that can beat Disney at this point in time. The one last thing I'll say about Disney is it pays a dividend. So there you got that too. So moving right along, we're about 40 minutes into this show for 2024. Got some new faces in the chat. John Chia, welcome to the chat there. And then earlier in the chat we had Ella, who I'm not sure if she's still here, but thanks for coming through. And then our regulars, Commander Cody and Renee are watching as well. So thank you guys for supporting us. And moving on to the next slide here.
Hey, do us a favor, and why don't we, in a show like 6 months or a year, revisit those and just kind of take a look to see what they're doing?
Yeah, I'll do like
a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. I'll have to look at the prices she got them at, and then compare. Let's see how I did.
Yeah,
a little West Coast real estate today. I pumped it up a little bit because I was visiting a friend, a fellow comic book nerd, in kind of this area. It's called Normandy Park, not Normand, but Normandy Park. It's kind of like it's on the water. So, Danielle, what's going on?
Hey, Danielle, that's my friend from. We grew up in the neighborhood together.
Cool.
She was one of our regulars when in 2023. So you didn't miss anything, Danielle. This is our first show of 2024, actually, because we've been super busy. So thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for stopping by. I hope you catch the rewind. We talked about some stocks there and kind of some strategies for your investments and stuff. So, so this area of Normandy Park has a view. So there's one side of Washington. You have views of Puget Sound, and that's like seawater, but it's not ocean, but it's the Sound. So the ocean basically like floods into this area called the Sound. That's where Seattle is essentially. On the other side of Seattle, towards Bellevue, where it's like Microsoft, Expedia, the tech companies, it's Lake Washington. That's where the University of Washington has a view of that as well. So this house is in pretty big territory as far as like price. This is a 3,400 square foot house in Seattle. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It's not your normal 3-bedroom, 3-bath, but it's sold. This is a sold house for $2.5 million this past week. I don't even know what the mortgage payment is on that. It's got to be like 14 grand a month or something at these rates. But, there's still, real estate, for the most part, I will say this, I said this in the Discord. There are some segments of areas in the greater Puget Sound area that aren't not doing bad, but they're definitely, I think, affected by the interest rate, kind of whatever. What's Washington? Oh, man, sorry. I must have been just busy. Sorry about that, Renee. What I was going to say is I had a couple of appraisals come back. They were about 20% lower than the estimated appraisal. Now that was from the buyer, so they're a little bit biased. But um, I was shocked myself. So, and then I had another client. He was selling his current home, and then he moved into his new home. So he was like, "Oh, I can afford the 2 mortgage payments. Like for 2 months, I should be okay." He qualified because his ratio, he makes quite a bit of money. His home, and Renee, this party speaks home to you a little bit. The home was in Greenwood, which is in a pretty prevalent neighborhood as well in Seattle, called Finney. It's like Greenwood Finney Ridge, so it's kind of near downtown. Um, it's a nice area to buy a house, and homes don't go for sale very often in this area lately. His house was on the market for 8 months. He ended
Holy
up
cow.
finally closing last week, and he ended up getting 100,000 less than he thought he was going to get. So I don't know if it's a combination of people just homes not appraising at the amount they need it to be at, or that interest rates are finally coming or finally hitting asset prices. With that said, I still feel that real estate is still the safest quote unquote investment over time. My client, the guy I was talking about earlier, he'd been in that house for like 8 years. So he made well more than, he probably assumed he was going to get. His new house, however, it's probably not going to appreciate as quickly, but I doubt that it's going to go down in price anyway, and he's going to be there for a long time. So anyway.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, some of it has got to be the timing, because a week from Saturday we spring forward,
Mm-hmm.
and that's for us really kind of ushers in. Oh, it's springtime. It's time to it's time to make a move if we're going to. I saw a projection. I shared. I'll send it. I'll send the article to you, but I share on my Facebook business page. I share every day. I share something real estate related, some news or an article or something, and the projection for the number of houses that are for sale this year is supposed to be the highest in probably. I'll have to go back and look. I don't want to say, but it's been quite a few years. It's going to exceed like the last 4 or 5 years for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what timing wise. Of course, 8 months. That means he listed it. That would have been what, like July of last year,
Something like that. I think it
June
was
or
like
July
around the
of last
time,
year.
June, July, right? Summer. But I mean, rates were still pretty high back then, so I'm not shocked at that. And it might have hit that kind of like that sweet spot for like it's going to be really tough for someone who has a lot of money to be like, that's 1.1. No, that's like a $900,000 house. Or someone that doesn't have that much money is like, I'm putting my life savings into this. Like, I want something perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, anyway, I just thought that was crazy. And just kind of some, just recent kind of comps I've been seeing past couple months. Prices might be coming down a little bit, and rates are still pretty high. So, we'll see what happens. Oh, yours is a lot
So
better than mine.
I had to dig deep to
Yeah.
come up with something that was comparable in price, but of course, living in South Carolina, not South Washington. I was just joking when I said that earlier. I'm actually in South Carolina. 2.6 million gets you a lot here. So this is actually on Lake Murray. 4,986, almost 5,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms, 6 baths. And this is over an acre lot.
Cool.
Beautiful hot tub. I mean, that's like, I love to the right, that terrace there that's overlooking the pool. And then what you can't see is in the bottom left-hand corner, there's lake, and they've got a dock, and there's a beautiful gazebo on the land right, just as you're going out on the dock. I mean, it's picturesque to say the least. So
You got a buyer over here in Seattle, man.
come on, Renee. Come on, your summer home, man. Hey,
Summer
you
home.
can. It's 70. I was saying, I don't know if you were in when I said it's 70 degrees here now, so you would definitely be able to enjoy the lake. So come on, or hey, let's all just chip in, and we'll. My portion will be very small though. I'll just let you know ahead of time.
Little poltergeist action. That's a Renee's thinking.
It's not. Um, yeah, no, we don't see anything floating to the surface that's not supposed to be there. So
Right.
um, yeah, but it's a beautiful
It's
area,
beautiful.
and that's just like you know that's a really nice baller house there. But I had to dig deep since you had a 2.5, and there's not a lot of options here for that. But I saw that one, I was like, yeah, that's the one there. That's the one.
Is this house like on a private driveway or like a private community of some sort?
Yeah, I'll send you this. Send you the link to it, and you can look at the photos.
Yeah,
There's a gate and a long driveway that leads to
that's
it, and
cool. Yeah,
it's really neat.
yeah, I love it. Cool.
Yeah,
1.12 acre lot too, man. I mean, that's crazy in itself, but yeah.
yeah. You
Um,
just don't see that anymore. I mean, the house looks like it takes up a big chunk of that, but
mhm.
yeah, you just don't see that much. I mean, especially developing on the lake, you would want to put more, more houses as many as you can there to take advantage of that. But yeah, that's really cool looking.
Yeah, it is cool. Obviously it's next to a body of water, so that always helps too. So, um, credit tip or just financial tip of the day: max out your Roth IRA contributions. I ran out of room there. So, like I was saying before, you can still max out your you can, if you have enough money to do it, you can still contribute for 2023. Every investing app website is different. So, if you open up if you don't have one yet, I encourage you all to at least open one up. And when you make deposits for a Roth IRA, since it's after tax earnings, the withdrawals aren't taxed when you retire. It's just based off your income on the withdrawal. So essentially, you can make, if you put 10,000 in and you made a million bucks over that term, you're not taxed on the sales of those gains. You're just taxed on withdrawals when you retire. But when you do open an account and you do contributions, you can select 2023 if you haven't either deposited anything for 2023, or if you need to deposit more. Again, you have until the tax deadline of like April 10th or whatever date it is to do that, but you have to indicate when you do deposit so you don't get hit with any penalties or whatnot. You basically have to withdraw of it. And then, of course, if you max out your 2023 contributions, I encourage people just to start, contributing for this year a little by little. It helps out and all that. So that's my little tip of the day, just something kind of small.
I like it.
And then the more you know, Brad, take it away.
Yeah, we had one little news item that we were. I had really seen. We had talked earlier in the show and have been talking this entire year. It's reason, if you missed the very beginning, it's the reason why we're starting so late on 2024 in this podcast. But we've been busy, and a lot of that has been, I think, the public perception when the feds in December said, what we're doing is working. We anticipate several rate cuts, and we talked about it on this show. We anticipate several rate cuts in 2024. A lot of people had speculated that maybe that would be, March to May somewhere would be the first.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Fed policymakers signal no rush to cut U.S. rates. So I just clipped a couple. This is from Readers, but I clipped a couple of paragraphs here to share with you guys. It's not bleak news, but I think they're just being cautious and trying to make sure that what they're doing is in fact working, and they don't want to pull back too soon and have it revert and take several steps backwards. So the Fed is widely expected to do some to cut interest rates this year, probably several times. Inflation rose in the second half of 2023 at an annual rate of about 2%, the Fed's target level.
Mhm.
Yet this week, several central bank officials underscored that they weren't ready to pull the trigger just yet. Most of the Fed's policymakers have said they're optimistic that even as the economy and the job market uh, keeps growing, inflation pressures will continue to cool. But they also caution that the economy appears so strong that there's a real risk that price increases could re-accelerate.
Mhm.
So that's the reason, just being cautious. They do anticipate still doing that. Had you seen anything about this or heard anything about it?
I mean, when they made the announcement, I want to say a month ago, we had the 10-year rate. If you guys are just curious of how what I look at, it's actually the 20-year TLT is the ticker symbol. Um, that was around 3.9%. That was a full point drop from its highs of last year. We saw it as high as 5.10. Um, but at the time, it dropped into the high threes, which was like honestly to me, I thought that was too quick of a drop, but it was all in anticipation of not just 3, but 6 rate cuts. So I was like, "Oh, man, if someone's applying for a loan, I gotta lock them in now because this rate's not gonna last." There's nothing that this is just, I think short covering at the time is what was occurring. And then when they made kind of like insinuations that they weren't gonna cut as many times this year, I mean, ever since they made that announcement, like we've had so many price changes throughout the day. So, like, as if you guys don't know, mortgage rates work like the stock market, so they can change at any time during the day. So, if you haven't ever bought a house or you're looking to refinance, and the lender says, "Do you want to lock?" That you have to tell them right away via either email or over the phone because that could change in an instance and we can't do anything about it. We're locked out of the system if the rates change. And that's happened quite a bit this year to the upside, which you don't want with rates, right? I think the 20-year rate or 10-year rate right now is like 4.29%. So that's a 30 basis point increase since the low of this year. And it's hit interest rates pretty hard. Um, I would say, are we surprised? I was surprised it went so low, but I think it's okay, that they're at the rates they are today because that kind of coincides with the inflation numbers, to be honest. Um, I want to ask you kind of a personal question, and people in the chat too, you can answer this as well. Brad, have you curtailed your spending, not so much based on your salary or how much money you've made, but just like, holy cow, that's how much for a hamburger? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not going to buy that burger. I'm going to look at alternative, or I'm going to buy fries instead. Have you been just psychologically hit by like inflation or just the cost of stuff?
I think the biggest one that hit me was eggs.
Hmm.
Like, it was
Mhm.
$6 a dozen for like a dozen eggs or something, or
Yeah. Yeah.
or or like an 18 a dozen and a half, something
Mhm.
like that. And that's the one where I was like, I drew the line on eggs, but if I was in the mood for a burger, I don't think that would stop me from getting a burger.
Yeah.
And kind of like we were talking about, I mean, I think I made more savvy decisions because I drive a lot for my job. I mean,
Of
I
course.
went to had a closing yesterday, and we went to the final walkthrough that morning. It was a 45-minute drive to get to the property from my house, and we don't have traffic. It was just a long ways away.
Yeah.
Um, so it hasn't, I haven't tried to work remotely more or anything, or um, I think the area that I have made cuts is like, I don't really need Disney Plus, like we were talking earlier. I've made those kinds of decisions, but not so much with everyday items that I buy. I haven't made any um, decisions to, oh, well, I'm not gonna buy this product because it's too expensive.
So yeah, this is, like Cody's like in, middle America. And so, I mean, it makes sense to me. It sounds like you've really adjusted. I mean, you're kind of used to kind of a simple lifestyle, I guess you'd say. But like Cody, I'm kind of with you, man. Like we did a lot of vacations the past like couple of years, and so I've kind of like had just like conversations with my wife, like I don't know if we should, keep going, but it's like, man, like we work hard and like I want to see things before I'm not able to. So there's that fear of that. I would say I definitely look at the manager special meets a lot more than I used to. And I've definitely enjoyed I my lifestyle change, I would say, is like, so my wife gets home at usually like 6 or 6:30 and I work from home, so I'll make dinner. And I try and make dinner at least 3 to 4 times a week, and I'll text her. And we've kind of had this like, oh, we'll do chicken one day, Wednesday we'll do this, whatever. And I'll say, okay, well, this is on sale today. Are you in the mood for that? And we'll be like, cool. We just have to have a vegetable. You still got to be healthy too, right? I think that's where I've been affected. And yeah, and Cody, yeah, I was gonna say this too. We must be on the same wavelength today. We don't have to worry about kids, fortunately, but unfortunately, right? Um, but I just kind of went old school. Like when my parents would be like, "You're eating green beans and pork today," and it was the best thing ever. But I bet back in the day, to feed 3 kids at the dinner table with some rice, that was probably what they had to do to make ends meet sometimes. And I guess that's where I kind of hit it with inflation stuff. So, but this is good. I don't know if anyone in the chat knew about this. I definitely knew about it because it was affecting like work in that way. So, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we want to share those little tips with you guys
That's a good one.
as they
Yeah.
come through. So the segment tonight is a lot of this information I pulled from Southern Living. So 3 home improvements for 2024. These are things that I mentioned earlier. These are things that whether you're looking to sell, whether you're looking to stay for a while and just want to update things, these are things that can get you a good return. I usually, if somebody calls me about, hey, we're thinking about selling our house, I usually want to get in the house, meet with them, and do a walkthrough to make suggestions before they spend money. I had some clients a while back, quite I don't know 5 or 6 years ago maybe, who they won't called me about selling their house. I went and looked, and they said, yeah, we just put hardwoods all throughout, all downstairs. We spent like 10 grand on it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I really wish you would have called me before you do that, because we can't just tack that onto the price. There's it'll look great. It'll be the best house in here, but it's just hard to get. So this is kind of, um, can potentially be not expensive ways to improve these 3 areas in your home. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're going to sell or you're planning on staying for a while. And I really like that you can see in this picture, like there's a trend with the cabinets on the island being a different color than the cabinets so it's like a
Oh,
little
I've
splash
never
of
seen that
color.
before. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. So I've seen that I had some folks who bought new construction, and the island had like midnight blue cabinets.
Mm.
But the rest of the kitchen was white, kind of like that one. It's really a really nice pop. But I also like that they did that butcher block on the island there as
Yeah,
well.
me
So
too. I like that.
yeah, so let's take a look. We got 3 home
Oh yeah,
improvements for
sorry. I was,
2024.
I
No,
was
it's
like,
cool.
I was looking at it. I was like, because we're doing our kitchen eventually, and we actually want to make our island bigger. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to show that to wifey later. She's the boss, so.
Of course. Well, I tell when I'm showing couples houses, I always tell them like, hey, don't feel bad. I said, they have his and hers closets, or as I like to call them, hers and hers.
Yeah,
And I tell the
exactly.
guy, like, don't feel bad. I mean, you're probably your stuff's probably going to be in the guest bedroom closet, but that's normal. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Makes
don't feel
sense.
bad. I like this because this is an easy way to do. I mean, there's some expensive things you could do to the exterior of your house, but I think making spaces intentional and well defined, good landscaping. So curb appeal is a really easy way. If you do as little as, if you look at the porch there where they've just got potted plants leading you up to the door, I really like that look. It's welcoming and inviting, and it's a cheap way to just make your house look great from the exterior. But so the best ways to add curb appeal, Keeping your lawn well groomed, tend to your garden if you have one, and freshen up your home's exterior with fresh coat of paint. Paint your door. Paint the if you have shutters like this house does. A fresh coat of paint on the shutters would look really nice. So yeah, that's but it's a good way to it kind of makes you feel whenever you do stuff like this, it kind of makes you feel good about what you have. So if you don't plan on leaving,
Yeah.
that let's just kind of freshen up what we're where we're living and have no plans to leave, but let's just kind of make it look nice.
I like how the potted plants is like a great idea because I feel like one, you can you can add color or not as much, right? And then two, like so our house has like it goes up like this and then it goes that way, but there's nothing really like separating like where the grass is or where the dirt is on our front lawn. I can just imagine like how like what you're saying with the potted plants, like the big ones. It's kind of like an unassuming fence, if you will, between like okay, this is obviously like don't go past here because this is where like the grass is, unless there's like a picnic or something, right? And it just looks really colorful. I like, and it reminds me of like Forrest Gump for some reason, or like
Yeah,
that kind of house. I like that.
yeah,
It looks really
yeah.
cool.
And you could
Yeah.
that's very
Anyways, yeah.
symmetrical, but you could do asymmetrical. Cody's on. Yeah, you're on it, Cody.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It's a great way to add color and stuff like that. I like the flagpole on there. I think that's a great accent.
Mhm.
Um,
And it's
but
not
you could,
expensive. It's really
yeah,
cheap and
yeah.
inexpensive. Yeah. Yeah.
I like the terracotta pots. I've seen some where you could do. I was saying this is symmetrical, but if you did asymmetrical, maybe on that as we're looking at it on the right side leading up the steps, maybe you have one large pot with a bunch of different stuff planted in it that
I remember that.
different
Yeah.
like tall grass with like some really colorful stuff around it. And then maybe on the other side, you have several smaller ones and kind of so there's a lot of ways you can play around with it. Just get out there. It's a great couple thing to do. Get out there and buy some potting soil and get some plants and, have you a nice little Saturday at Home Depot.
Yeah. Oh, too many of those coming up. But
And you end up spending more. You don't just buy potted, you never just buy potted plants and
oh
soil and
yeah,
stuff. You
of
got to go
course.
home with something you totally didn't intend to buy. But
Yeah. Here's a little trick to that. This is another not DIY so much, but like money
take a
saving
heart
thing.
attack in the store.
No. Order your stuff online and then pick it up and then get the hell
There
out
you
of
go.
there.
There you
Yeah.
go. All right.
That's my tip for people.
That's
So
yeah. That's we're gonna need you to. Maybe you could share some of those. We'll add a new segment. You could do your tip on spending less at Lowe's and Home Depot.
at Home Depot, sure, I'll do it.
So take that same care with the back of the house. I really like this photo. The outdoor rug is really cool, and you notice like this is just a covered porch, but it feels like it almost feels like a sunroom, but it's completely open.
Mhm.
So yes, every porch doesn't have a fireplace like that, but
Yeah.
you could do not something where you're going to build a blazing fire with fire, firewood or anything. But if you had like one of those low level like propane fire pit type things in the center, imagine instead of the table, you've got like
Oh
a
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
something like that there.
Mhm.
Put like a pad so it doesn't get hot on the rug. But I like the rug because it brings like the inside out.
Yeah.
So but you can imagine sitting out there. Hey, we've invited a couple of friends over for dinner. Hey, let's go sit outside and hang out and talk and drink and just have a good time. And just taking that same care that you would with the front of the house and do it in the back. So one of the best home improvement tasks that pays off tremendously is getting more acquainted with the backyard, specifically by creating an outdoor living area. So adding a deck or a patio would be an example of a more expensive thing to do. But stuff like those outdoor rugs, I mean, they last for years. They're not super expensive. You could even do like upcycled furniture and paint it and get new cushions for it or something if you're on a budget. and you want to, like, I don't have thousands of dollars to spend on furniture that's just going to be sitting outside. So maybe you go that route where you just kind of, check marketplace or go to a garage sale, yard sale, something like that.
Yeah,
So
you can.
it's a really cool, and those people ooh and ah over seeing this in person. Like if you're showing a house and it has a space like this, it's really like wow,
Yeah,
gives it that wow factor, and for cheap.
yeah.
Like
I
the,
would
the
say
accent plant there, the tree there, just
you
like those
probably could
little
find that in a garage
stones.
sale or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I would say too, like, kind of piggybacking on trying to save money and because this is a lot of DIY, or some of this is DIY stuff, I assume, or just like going out and like thrift shopping or whatever. I would say like some tools you probably want to get like brand new, or like like a brand new, I don't know, something sharp. I always would want to buy new, but I think of like little shovels or um, even like big shovels. You don't necessarily have to like buy them brand new. Um, I found so many people just want to get rid of tools so much. Garage sales like a buck for a wrench, or for like a you know like those little potting, like kind of deals. Like if you want to do what Cody suggested with the horticulture stuff, that's another way to like save some dough, especially when the springtime comes up. Everyone's gonna have garage sales, so you may find some treasures out there too, and comic books. Who knows, right? But anyway.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's a good way. Like if we were talking about cutting corners, like where do you make cuts if the price of goods is expensive? Maybe
Oh,
that's a way to cut corners and stuff.
that's cool. I like that.
Dude, my grandmother used to set up at the flea market doing exactly that, Cody. That her side hustle. She would break. You went to horticulture school, so she would go to like a plant, snap off of one of the limbs, and like put it in its own pot and grow it up and go sell them for like $20 at the. Like she would let it get mature and go
Huh.
take a big truckload of them out to the flea market and sell them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, grandma's side hustle, man.
I wonder if I could do
Um,
that with like a Japanese maple. I have a few Japanese maples in my backyard.
Cody is probably Cody. What do you think? Japanese maple? How would you go about rooting a Japanese maple?
I have to take a picture of it and send him. I also have a huge bay leaf tree. Do you ever leave bay leaves in like soups or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I have a huge bay leaf tree. Like it's so big that it's probably about 20 feet tall. And bay leaves are expensive, right? So
20 feet tall.
it's huge, man. I'll take a picture of it, man. I
Wow.
didn't My dad planted it a long time ago because you use bay leaves in like almost everything Filipino, and like a little bottle's like $5.
Yeah, even like beef stew or
Anything.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I haven't had to pay for bay leaves in like a long time. So yeah.
Danielle, you know how to root a Japanese maple? Do tell. Hey, we'll send you the link. You can come on the show and share
Yeah.
your experience um,
Potting
with
plants.
Japanese maples, or you can hey send me send me a message on Facebook, and I'll pass it on to Ferd.
Cool.
That's impressive though. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
That's yeah, but old grandma, she used to do it quite a bit, and of course the kitchen. And this is interesting because here's another one with the island with a different color. And notice the lights match the island.
I was just
It's
about to
that
say.
same kind of,
Very
and it's
awesome.
very. I would consider this very minimalist. Oh,
Oh.
she doesn't know Japanese maple. She cooks with bay leaves.
Well,
So,
Danielle, give me your
but if
address.
you
I'll
could
send you a
find out
whole.
about that Japanese maple thing for us, we'd really appreciate it.
But honestly, I have so many bay leaves, I don't know what to do with it. And so like I always try and like have like a huge Ziploc bag I give to my mother-in-law and like to whoever. And I mean it's I have to cut it down because it grows too high. And I know a lot of people use the bay leaves, and it's expensive, man. Like I said, a bottle's like $5. So man, if anyone needs one, just give me an address. I'll send you some in the mail. But yeah.
Start putting them in with every comic book order or
Yeah,
something.
I
You
should.
throw
I
in a little
really
pack of
should.
bay leaves.
I really should.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
cool.
cute. I got two of them,
Nice.
so yeah, they grow a lot.
So,
So anyway, go ahead.
so the kitchen is another one, and it can
Mhm.
be it's one of the more popular ones to do and one of the ones that people notice the most. It
Yeah,
can also be one of the more expensive
sure.
uh, remodels to do. But a lot of I've talked about. In fact, my segment on one show was just about the kitchen, and we talked a lot about okay, maybe you don't have the budget for completely redoing the cabinets, but what if you took the doors off, had the cabinets painted? Maybe you get new cabinet doors with the hinges, like the no-show hinges that are actually on the inside of the door. Um, you, Most people would never even notice that you just replaced the doors and not all the cabinets. That's a good way if you want to do so, or just painting them and change the hardware
Mhm.
is easy enough. But like a cheaper, you could do appliances. I mean, there are some packages. If you're going to get a refrigerator and a dishwasher and a stove, you can actually bundle those appliances and get a better deal on those things. But what if you, in a weekend, wanted to put a backsplash up and that just add a nice pop to the kitchen? Maybe you could do that because they have, again, Home Depot and Lowe's, they have those I don't know, maybe they're like 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 sheets
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the glass, or it's like glass, or it'll be a
Yeah.
tile, like a mosaic tile or something. You can do that and actually do that yourself. I would just be careful about the cutting part and make sure you want it to look nice, but
Clean, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
a clean edges and stuff.
Mhm.
But that's a great way to add a little flair and make it feel new. And then just like replacing an old faucet, or if you want to say, I've got a double sink in my kitchen. But a lot of people like those big farmhouse sinks that's just like
Yeah.
one huge big sink. So maybe, that's obviously a little more involved, but it's a great way. If you don't want to tackle that, then there's how many YouTube videos on replacing a faucet in your kitchen. I mean, you did a whole bathroom watching YouTube videos before you did it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, that
like
was
finding out how to.
70 different freaking YouTube and yeah.
So it's out there if you want to try to do it. There's a means to do it, but
Yeah.
at the very least, I think on a budget conscious remodel, that backsplash is a great idea. New lights, you could do new light fixtures. That's
Mhm.
that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff like that. So yeah, these three areas that people, I consistently, the only other one I would add, and I wanted to keep it to three so I can
No, it's
maximize,
okay.
I'll share other areas down the road in future shows, but another one that's a wow factor that people usually comment on when we're walking through a house is the master bedroom. People love a good master bedroom with the suite and um, nice master bath, nice closets. If the closets have like a nice, you can upgrade. Well, here's a bonus tip for your closets. Um, Take some time and do, whether you hire someone to do it or you want to try to configure it yourself. Those old wire racks they put in the closets nowadays, it's like you can buy them. I don't know if like Rubbermaid makes them or what company makes them.
Yeah.
Kind of cheap wire racks. Take those down and do like some nice wood shelves, and you can do a couple of levels,
Mhm.
because those things are usually like one row going all the way around the room and on one level. And I'm like, God, there's a lot of wasted space there. You could actually double up or put a shelf under that where you could fold and lay like polo shirts for guys or whatever, or
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
little things at the bottom where you can put your shoes and stuff like that. Just like that stuff. That's a bonus tip, but that's stuff that people look at whenever they're in a house and they just like, wow, this is, they've used the space well. Even if you've got a smaller house, it's a great way to utilize the space. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the three, man. If you're going to tackle something, I think there's plenty of budget conscious options on each of those three that you could do and really, really, have a sense of accomplishment for having done it yourself, and also add some curb appeal to your house.
No, that's awesome, man. Like, I was thinking I was probably gonna finish with the kitchen because the kitchen's the you know the saying, the kitchen's king, right? When it comes to a home, because there's so much time and memories in the kitchen, I think, out of any part of the home, right? Because everyone convenes in the kitchen. That's where the food is and stuff. I wanted to ask you because my like, here, I mean, it's raining right now, and I've always loved the thought of an outdoor living space like the previous slide that you showed. Do you find in appraisals, as far as value is concerned, not so much like a want of a homeowner, but appraisal wise, with your experience, because I can't talk to an appraiser because it's a conflict of interest. Do you find that that does add to the value of the house? Not so much the curb appeal or like the want of a buyer, but the actual value. Does it add value to the home?
I've actually had a lot of conversations about this lately. So whenever I am the listing agent for a house, I always meet the appraiser at the house.
Right.
And I'm going to take them a packet of stuff in a little binder type thing. I'm going to put photos of the house. I'm going to include my comps that I use to
Mhm.
justify the price. And I tell them, it's like, a lot of people are like, well, are you manipulating the appraiser? I'm like, no, because it's what's the it's better attract bees using honey instead of vinegar, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, hey, you're the expert. I don't want to step on your toes, but this is what I use to determine the value, and I just wanted to. It'll say appraiser copy right on the front of
Mhm.
the 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 cover page. And I say, if you can use this, I'd like to leave it with you. And he said, yeah, I've never had anybody say no, I
Yeah.
can't do it, I don't want it. And I've had them use a lot of the stuff in there. And um, I'll give you an example where it benefits is I had a listing, met the appraiser there. I do a list of key features and upgrades, and a lot of those items are kitchen related items. Updated the floor, updated the countertops. Go
Mhm.
look at the rest of the neighborhood. Nobody's got, new cabinets. I mean, everything's been updated. So if you've got a house that was built in the 70s and it's got granite, and it's got nice floors, and it's got stainless appliances and new cabinets and stuff, that I'm going to list all that stuff, and I'm going to put a dollar amount beside that. Like, this is what the upgrade costs. I met at this house that I was listing, and one of the things I had on there was updated windows. They had Pella windows, which is a very popular Thermopane is a brand, but it's kind of like Kleenex.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We start calling all updated windows or Thermopane windows, but it's that double pane,
Mhm.
energy efficient windows, and Pella is the brand, and it's an expensive brand and a really good brand. And I'd put that on my list and let them know how much it costs them to do that. And he said, oh yeah, that's interesting. He said, well, I wonder why they didn't do the windows on the back of the house. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, well, the ones on the back are different. They didn't update those. I said, yeah, come here, look. So they did not have, now, instead of doing an old fashioned like wooden pane in the window, they just put these little strips. They're like faux window panes, but it's actually really just one huge piece of glass is the window. So they put these she did not want the strips in hers, so she just left it as one pane because she had a lot of bird feeders outside, like to have the view of the birds at the bird feeders. So he saw that and assumed that they only did the front of the house. So we would have gotten docked for that.
Sure.
But fortunately, I was there to show, like, hey, this is, that's where it's coming from. So I see value in that. And that's one of the things I do for my clients. I haven't done it. I missed one in the last probably 4 years. I missed doing it one time, and it was last year because it was kind of like sudden, like, hey, I'm going to be in the area. Can I go by today? And I couldn't go, but I said yes to be accommodating,
Sure.
and it did not appraise. The one
Mm.
time in 4 years I haven't done it, and it didn't appraise. So
Damn.
it's I, if you have if you have an agent who can share, I mean, I would make it clear whether you leave let's say you're selling your house and you've updated the kitchen like it sounds like you want to. I would make sure um, there's at least a binder on the counter that has a sheet just like that, key features and upgrades, where you've listed and itemized every detail, everything you've changed, and that's how you get top value for
Yeah.
those upgrades. It works for bathrooms too, but that's how you do it, and it can't you can. I mean, it is legitimately one of the things that gets you the most. Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's good stuff. I mean, that's why, like, that's why I think the real estate agents, they deserve the 3% that they get paid. I mean, there's a lot of, unless you just are in such a hot market like 2 or 3 years ago where it doesn't. I mean, you still need a broker to sell it, right? But when you have so much work into the home that you put your blood, sweat, and tears, and broke a few tiles here and there from personal experience, that did happen to me. Yeah, you want to be able to notate the work that you did on the home or room or whatever it may be. So,
well, if I'm trying to get you, like I tell, and I had a past client who I actually took guitar lessons like almost 10 years ago, and we've kept in touch, and I've helped his wife sell a house and stuff. And he called me randomly today, and we talked for a while. And I told him, I said, my real goal as a real estate agent is to get to the finish line and put the most money in your pocket that I can. So there's a lot of that negotiating stuff and things. If you meet the appraiser, that's another sign that it benefits everybody if the house appraises. It benefits the buyer because there's, it's maintaining the equity of the house, and it's shown in advance in in an area, and you keep the deal on track, and it certainly benefits the seller if it appraises. So I think most want to get there if they can justify it. They're being scrutinized a little more on the lending side, I think, now, just to make absolutely sure that they're I had it happen on one recently where it went back and forth on underwriting a little bit. Hey, we need you to do this, and needed some verbiage, to address a few things on it, and some justification for certain things that they comps that they use.
mhm.
So if they're going to lend you several $100,000 to buy a house, they want to make sure that's exactly what it's worth, and there's evidence to support that. So,
Sure.
but yeah, a good agent wants to put the most money they can in your pocket. So,
Yeah, no, it's all good stuff as always, man. And you got a little quote from the great Oracle of Omaha.
yeah, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That does not sound appealing. I don't like the idea of that. And hopefully, if you keep watching this show, you'll get some ideas or some tips, or be encouraged to do your own research to find something that makes money while you sleep.
Yeah, and I think a great show, great start to 2024, even though it's already March, which is just insane. I can't wait till it starts to get sunny out here, and I can enjoy those Japanese maple trees, Danielle, and I can enjoy the huge bay leaf tree that I have in my backyard that's soaked with rain right now. I need to harvest them anyway. So
Side
um,
hustle, man. Side hustle.
side hustle. I tried selling a pack on eBay just to see, but no one was biting. But whatever, we'll see. Yeah, so that's the show for today. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Great to see everyone in the chat. I think we were up to 11 people at one point, and some new people in
Awesome.
there. Yeah, we'll try and keep this going unless we get super busy and we can't do the show. But until next time, everyone, thanks again. Have a great night.